voice whispering in my ear. And when I turned to my left, all I could see was Cupid's arrows coming at me through the air.
Hello, my name is Hasani, Pettiford, co-founder of Couples Academy, and you're watching me on Topaz Online Video Mag.
DollarPreview.com brings you the new blood of Hollywood. Now you have a choice. Oscar Michaud style, baby.
This movie is a love story. It's a great love story. It's about my character Naomi. She moves to France when she was 12 and she meets this guy named Monty. And he gives her a chance for a different lifestyle. The lifestyle that she was living is not one that she wanted to live, but be a part of. This guy, Francois, using her as bait to lure men so he can rob them, and she don't want to be a part of that anymore. So when she meets Monty, it's like, I have a fresh start, I have a new start at life, a new start at love. I have this connection that I always wanted, because I just felt empty. I felt different. He makes me feel whole. But this one person don't want that to happen. So it just makes this turns and twists, and it makes the movie so amazing and exciting, and it's going to keep it on the edge of your seat. And I just can't wait till this movie to be, and the story to be told, so people can have a chance at love and hope for love, and it's going to be amazing.
Please welcome relationship expert Hasani Pettiford to the show. Hasani, how you doing?
Wonderful. Thank you for having me on the show.
All right, we got serious issues today, and what advice can you give first to Juan and Jody?
First of all, there's a whole lot of lies, guys, and bedroom lies on this stage. There's a lot of problems of deception, secrecy, and just deceit. You know, there have been many couples that have gone through this type of pain, that have been married and have bounced back. See, we're pointing the finger at the sister, and the blame should be pointed at her, but there are other mitigating factors that we have to consider. When you are married, you have to establish boundaries and borders in your relationship, so the fact that the best friend was in your bedroom is totally inappropriate.
My name is Hasani Pettiford, and I'm a relationship expert, a marriage and family counselor, a best-selling author of 10 books, and the co-founder of Couples Academy, which is a relationship-based learning institute and social organization that is committed to helping couples by placing them on the path to fulfillment. I've been speaking and writing books and working with couples for over 15 years. I actually started when I was in college, and upon graduation decided to do it full-time. So when I got married to my wife Danielle, we decided that we were going to become marriage and family counselors, so that we would ensure that we would have a successful relationship, and we would be able to then teach those skill sets to other couples as well. You know, what's so interesting about my background is that I come from a family where divorce doesn't exist. My parents have been married for over 35 years. All of my aunts and uncles still married. My grandparents were married up until my grandfather passed away. So I don't even understand what divorce means. I don't know what it looks like. It's not something that's in my family legacy. And so one of the things that was interesting to me was to find out why some relationships succeed and why others fail. Now, it doesn't mean because you don't get a divorce that you just have a wonderful relationship. In fact, according to statistics, it would suggest that couples who continue to remain together, 2/3 of those couples beyond 5 years wind up having an emotional decline in their relationship. So it's about learning how to develop proper couple skills and marriage skills in order to make sure you're meeting your partner's emotional needs, so that you can have a fulfilling relationship. So that experience and that family background gave me, I guess it piqued my interest in terms of wanting to know what it took to really make relationships work. I guess you could say my experience as a relationship counselor unofficially started when I was in college, because, I was someone who would always give people wisdom and great advice, and people would come to me for counsel for whatever reason. They felt comfortable with me. And so I realized early on that I really had a knack for this, for really giving great advice and helping people by giving them practical steps to resolve the issues in their relationships. And so upon graduation, I decided to turn my passion into a profit, if you will, by going into it as a business as well. And so from that point, I've been able to really work with many couples on screen, off screen, all over the country. I've traveled to 3 continents, and I've been able to really restore relationships. And I believe that that is the mantle that God's placed upon my life. We all have been sent here to do something specific. The key is understanding and discovering what your purpose in this earth is. And I've discovered that my purpose is to help bring couples together so that they can have harmonious, healthy relationships. Earlier on, when I began to counsel, I realized that I didn't know what I was doing. That just because I had a certification, a lot of times you gain wisdom and expertise through experience. And so a lot of the couples that I would counsel in the beginning of my career, they, if anything, their relationships wound up being worse. And so I remember going back to the drawing board and going back and doing more research and study and really assessing things. And so I came across a couple who had been suffering from multiple counts of infidelity. They were on the verge of divorce, and they needed help because it was going to be over. And I specialized in affair recovery. And it was a hard case. I didn't think that it would transform as quickly as it did, but ultimately, after a few sessions, I realized that they did have a love for one another. They wanted to work it out, and today their relationship is so much stronger than prior to the infidelity. So, it was a hard case, but it was a rewarding case, and it really let me know, wow, you really know something, and you have something that is beneficial to couples. And I've made my niche, in essence, working with couples in crisis and those who have suffered from infidelity. The individuals that determine whether a relationship is unrepairable are those that are within it. It's very clear that if a person has a hardened heart and they're not willing to do the work, they're not willing to make certain adjustments and changes, then nothing can happen. In essence, I can counsel a couple all day long and give them all of the steps to take, but if they refuse to take it, if they refuse to do their part, then they determine their own fate. And so I have gotten to the point where I take it less personal if a couple doesn't work out. It just means to me that they weren't willing to put in the work. And I've always been told that it'll work if you work it. I've seen people suffer from sexual abuse, rape, infidelity, secrecy, just all types of unbelievable circumstances within their marriage, but they have bounced back. I've seen couples bounce back from domestic violence. I've seen it all. And because there are so many examples of those who have excelled beyond their crisis, I can't face a couple today that I look at and say, you know what, it's just not going to work out for you. It's possible for everyone if they're willing to do the work that's required. And oftentimes there are couples that have extenuating circumstances that really keep us on our toes in terms of determining what we need to do for them. But we don't allow crisis and conflict and drama and stress of other people's relationships to affect our own. We learned how to keep things very separate. See, as a couple married for 10 years, we are not only marital partners, but we're business partners. And we've learned how to turn the clock off, if you will, right? And transition from we're co-laborers in work to we're partners in our marriage. And so we haven't had that type of conflict or issue within our relationship. We've protected it as best that we could. I think that the biggest challenge that couples face today is communication. Whether we're talking about sexual problems, financial problems, parenting style problems, in-law problems, whatever the case may be, at the core of it all, we have failed to effectively communicate with one another. And one of the challenges that we have when it comes to communication is not understanding how different we are as individuals. See, what we try to do when we enter into relationships, we try to win a person over into our way of thinking and our way of doing. In essence, we're trying to recruit people to become us. And so it never ever works. We have to learn to celebrate the differences that exist in the relationship and celebrate that person for who they are. And when you can begin to do that, knowing that they bring something very unique to the table, right? It improves the quality of communication that you have in that relationship to be able to overcome anything. But I think what happens is we come with our own styles, we come with our own beliefs and expectations, and we're fighting in this tug of war type of thing where we're trying to make our partners be what we want them to be. And that's when crisis takes place and the relationships ultimately begin to end. The reality is there are 4 seasons to a successful relationship. You have the dating season, which is what we call the selection process. You have committed courtship, which is the getting to know you phase. There's engagement, which is the season of preparation, and marriage, which is the final frontier. So I ask couples all the time, I said, what do you think is the most important relationship in all 4, or the most important season in all 4 of these seasons? And oftentimes they have different answers, but I believe that the dating season is the most important. Why? Because what happens is, to your point, a lot of us show that representative, not the true self. You know, a lot of times when we date, we put our best foot forward because that represents the best of who we are. But what that really means is that we're hiding the other foot with the crooked toe, the bunions, and the corns, because that represents the worst of who we are. So we enter into relationships wearing masks. We enter into relationships with false faces. But slowly but surely, the masks begin to come off, and we see the person for who they really are. But the problem becomes, we've worn the mask so long that the person that we're dating is now emotionally entangled in us. So when they find out the real truth, it's hard to let go because they've already established feelings. And so that's why I think it's very important that when you are dating, that you take the time to really get to know and don't rush into commitment. Because most of us who are dating people or in committed courtships or even married really don't know who we're with. And that happens through a process of time.
Yeah, we're back on Knoxville's Thug Radio, and we in that ashtray looking for some of that funk. This is your DJ, Sticky Green, and we got a new one here we're gonna twist up for you from the 5-foot giant and Moj Smooth, called Funk or Die, baby.
Go ahead. Reach for it. You can make it.
This is it. The one and only tribute to the 1973 blockbuster film Superfly, starring and directed by independent guerrilla filmmaker Tony Topaz. This clever, no-budget production is a gem of guerrilla filmmaking, proving imitation is indeed the greatest form of flattery. Tony Topaz's likeness to Ron O'Neal's Superfly is uncanny, although there are very reminiscent images that pay tribute to Ron O'Neal's performance. The tribute stops there. Blood Money has its very own unique story and style. This guerrilla masterpiece is a must-see and is yours for a pledge of just $10. And for a pledge of $5, you can get the funky soundtrack. And for a pledge of $20, you can get the 2-disc original director's cut entitled Funky Fridays, packed with a ton of extras. DollarPreview.com brings you the new blood of Hollywood. Now you have a choice. Oscar Michaud style, baby.
Hi everyone, this is Tasha.
Hi, this is Miko.
Join us with Free Your Mind every Saturday from 12 to 2 p.m.
Pacific Standard Time. We're giving it to you real,
raw, and honest.
Free your mind. Openness leads to healing, and we want to hear from you.
So free your mind with us every Saturday,
12 to 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Only on the
Accelerated Radio Network.
Women, quite frankly, are getting discouraged with a lot of these men that are not committing to them, whether it be a committed relationship or marriage. But there's a slew of reasons. I mean, we'll just go down the list. Number one, if you think about men and their mentality towards relationships, marriage is not something that is seen in a positive light. Just think about the media. Every television show you watch, every movie you watch, there always seems to be a negative spin on marriage.
That's a very good question. Well, it depends on who you're asking. If you have a mentality of plenty, then you'll be knocking over, tripping over, stumbling over good black men everywhere you go. If you have a mentality of lack, then you won't find them. And the reality is that there are many good black men out there. And even though the statistics suggest that we're either gay, on drugs, in jail, in gangs, or with white women, the reality is there's a lot of qualifiable good black men that are out there. The problem is oftentimes the things that we think are good causes the confusion.
I was shocked and surprised to hear his responses. When I first came in, my feelings about Blair were she was selfish, didn't really care, wasn't very supportive. Afterwards, I really started to feel bad for her. I started feeling sorry for her because right now he sounds like a male chauvinist.
Brian, I mean, you're in a situation where you're in a relationship and there's a lot of issues on the table here. You have a woman who has a legitimate illness. She's dealing with lupus, she's dealing with 5 children. The question really becomes, are you good for her? Not when you're in her presence, are you good to her, but are you good for her?
The best thing that ever happened to her, homie.
Brian, you cheated on her. You've had a baby out of the relationship. You meet other girls, you flirt, you get numbers. Based upon the way this conversation is going, it hasn't been spoken, but I assume that you've had sexual relationships with other women as well, based upon your dialogue. What happens if you go out there, you attract a sexually transmitted disease, you don't know who you've been with, you bring that home, you're having unprotected sex with Blair, and now you bring her something that you got from outside, and now she's dealing with another illness that you brought into the relationship. You're worrying about how she'll feel if I end the relationship now. She may not be able to deal with that. Can she deal with the further hurt and pain that you'll bring into the relationship based upon the way you've been conducting yourself? Have you considered that?
Why should I have to? And you saying it's being selfish? The hell with it. If it's selfish, you know what I'm saying, to the point where I understand, I know I won't get hurt no more.
Are you saying that she can't do any better than you?
She's content with me, and she's satisfied with what we have.
TV One's Love Addiction was an 8-week docuseries where 2 other therapists, along with myself, worked with other couples who were in crisis, those who we would deem were in toxic relationships. Well, one of the most favorite episodes in the entire series featured Bryant and Blair. Now, if you remember anything about this couple, Bryant was the player dating Blair, who was suffering from lupus and watching her sister's 5 children.
And if I feel as though I can still be in a relationship and still have her in my life and still go out there and kind of, you know, play around, do what I want to do, I mean, I feel she cool with it, you know what I'm saying? She don't want to start over, and she don't think she can find better. I honestly, I don't think she can find better.
Wow. That's pretty confident on your part. Or disillusional. You know, it's interesting when you're dealing with unhealthy relationships. Most of us, rather than coming up with one good reason as to why we should leave, we typically come up with 1,001 reasons as to why we should stay. And some of those reasons may consist of the fact that we're just familiar and comfortable in the relationship that we're in. And you know what, starting all over and ending a relationship and entering back into the dating scene could be a very challenging thing. So what's the alternative? To be like my girlfriends or my male friends who are alone and by themselves? And so people oftentimes use that as a justification. Fear may be a reason we may stay in. If you've been verbally or physically abused, just the threat of leaving sometimes could be enough to stay in the relationship to avoid the repercussions that can come from ending it. A lot of times people are so emotionally beat up in a relationship, they've lost their sense of self-worth, their self-esteem. Some feel as if they can't do any better. And so they feel as if the person they're with is the best person that they could ever come across. Some people may be financially obligated and tied to certain individuals. If they're paying my rent, paying my bills, taking care of all of my finances, for me to leave would put me in a destitute situation. So many people stay for that reason. Another reason may be children. that often binds people together. And no matter how bad the relationship is, we want to stay this, keep this relationship intact for the kids. So there are a gob number of reasons that people stay in unhealthy relationships. I think he's oblivious to his own actions. Even though he knows what he's doing is not necessarily good, he's not really considering the long-term effects that it's having on his girlfriend's health, her emotional state. He's not considering that.
I like the game I'm playing. I do. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. I like it. You know what I'm saying? That's why I enjoy it, because I know I can't get hurt in that game.
Wow. That's a selfish response. That's a selfish mentality.
Everybody's selfish, bro.
It is. No.
Everybody's selfish.
But you know what? If that's what you're cool being, be you and do you. But do you by yourself. But right now, the way that you're thinking and the path that you're on, it's only going to be disastrous. So why continue to drag it through the mud? You got to make a decision, guy. The ball is
not just on me dragging me through the mud.
It is on you, because you're the one controlling and manipulating this entire scenario. You're the one who has her, in the palm of your hand. She's giving you what you want when you want it.
Is that what a woman's supposed to do?
Is that what?
Is that what a woman's supposed to do?
Obviously, that's the way you think. That's exactly what you think a woman's supposed to do. And that's why you feel like you have the best of both worlds. But the question becomes, is that what she feels her role is?
Many people at the end of that episode reached out to me and asked me, well, whatever happened to that couple?
Even though I go do what I do, as far as that, I'm still a good man.
What is a good man?
A man that brings financial support, supports his woman financially, cares about his woman deeply to the point where anything he got, she got. A spiritual man. Those are my things, make a man a man.
Are you giving her all of who you are? You said that you care so much for somebody that what you got, they got.
At this point, ain't no woman gonna get all of me. Okay, never again.
So we know that's not taking place. Financially, are you in a position right now where you're able to be that financial support that she needs in the relationship? Spiritually, are you the spiritual priest in the home to guide her spiritually, to comfort her, to pray for her, to do all the things that a spiritual man would do?
No.
So you do not represent the definition that you just gave of a good man?
No, obviously not. Obviously not. I didn't realize my faults as much as I did. Hasani said that that's the best thing that could have happened to me. And he might be right. At one point, I gotta change myself. So I'm realizing that it's not always about me. And he's saying that I'm very selfish when it comes to that. And you shouldn't be selfish in a relationship.
I think today was a great seed that was deposited into him. He may not change today, he may not change tomorrow or even next month, but something may happen 6 months down the road that will trigger something based upon what he heard here today that will begin the change process in his life. So you know what? We can never give up hope on people.
Well, I'm here to let you know that about a year later, I received a phone call from Brian himself, and he actually told me that he got his life together, that after viewing that episode, he received so much criticism, so much hate mail, so many phone calls where people were really, really hard on him. It helped him to reflect on his life and the way that he had been treating women. He got himself together, got in the church, got saved, and is now a minister preaching the gospel. So let me let you know, folks, that there's nothing scripted about these shows. There's nothing fake or false about what we do on television. These are real scenarios that really make a difference in the lives of others. If you want to see something you've never seen before, go to dollarperview.com.
Here's something that's really going to blow your mind. You could get paid for watching movies for free. That's right, free!
dollarperview.com brings you the new blood of Hollywood. Now you have a choice. Oscar Michaud style, baby.
How beautiful does one have to be to have a love as strong as yours?
Hi, my name is Hasani Pettiford, and if you are in a relationship and need help to sort out some of the issues that you're constantly going through, I encourage you to reach out to us at couplesacademy.org. That's www.couplesacademy.org. You can contact us directly at 678-467-1273. I would highly recommend that if you want to enhance your relationship, you take advantage of some of the things that we have to offer. Couples Academy focuses on 5 core elements. Number 1, we teach classes to educate. So we have a Power Couples University where we take couples and put them through our system, teaching them and training them how to have the best relationships that they can have. Number 2, we believe in creating challenges. So we have our 7 days of sex extraordinary challenge. We have our 40 days fit for love couples challenge. We have our financial makeover challenge. Every relationship is going to suffer from challenges. So we believe in being intentional in the challenges that we create in order to strengthen relationships. We believe in creating a community. So we have chapters strategically placed all throughout the country where you can join other like couples who are striving for perfection within their relationship. Number 4, if you are in crisis and need counseling, we provide counseling in order to restore. So whatever you're going through, reach out to us and we can begin to give you the wisdom that you need that'll make the difference in your life. And last but not least, we believe in creating collaborative events. So we have cruises, we have retreats. This October, the 11th through the 13th, we're having our Power Couples Retreat in Rome, Georgia. We have just a few spots left, and I encourage you, if you want something new, if you want something fresh for your relationship, come and join us in Rome, Georgia for the Power Couples Retreat. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.
DollarPreview.com brings you the new blood of Hollywood. Now you have a choice. Oscar Michaud style, baby.